Yeah, please do.
I started over on the human impact side. I guess how
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Shall we? Do I have to share my screen maybe? So we are on the same page.
Yes.
So I started on the human impact dialogue. I mean, largely, I think that's the biggest theme when it comes to the archaeological side. So I didn't change anything there, and I just kind of rearranged it a little bit.
Do you want probably unmute yourself and talk to your laptop, and I'll mute the device? Probably it's gonna, yeah, wait.
Is this mic better?
Yeah.
It might be a bit of a challenge.
Okay. Let's go back to the old system.
Okay, so I started with the human impact side and just sort of rearranged it slightly. And I thought that there's sort of a main category at the bottom, the cultural stress index, and a couple of things about making indices out of there. It's like a new metric side, and a couple of other things about different types of data that can be brought together. So I put those in the box at the bottom, and then to the right of human impact is sort of direct themes that relate to that, like legacy impacts and migration questions, and also about like different phases of technology and land use pattern, or like subsistence strategies, I think is probably a good word for that. So largely those were just kind of clumped together in a slightly different way than the raw form. And then I moved down to the bottom where we have these cross-cutting themes, and we just sort of ordered them iteratively. So I took a stab at it, Charuta took a stab at it, and now I think it's very logical left to right.
Yeah.
So these are like the major cross-cutting themes that we sort of had. They were all originally like in the orange as well, so I don't think there's been a major change. One or two of them I combined. And then I really think they almost go in like a workflow order. So it's about identification of sites and gaps, which is the same. It's an unsite basically. Then this harmonization challenge. So certainly definitions and terminology. And then I also added from Manu's work earlier about the database thing, like there's some harmonization steps there that are quite well documented, and now we have to kind of live them a little bit. Then from there it gets into the major, typical stuff with data and geographies. So uncertainties, resolutions, scale, and I guess like what kind of grid, if it's gonna be gridded, or is it vector layers? I don't know. So that kind of stuff I think all fits into those chronologies, resolution, and then we get into kind of the proxies themselves, and then it moves into something that are more like question oriented. So I think qualitative, quantitative, that's still a little bit descriptive, and if we jump to indexes or products, that's kind of all in there, and then it gets to the mismatching and things where we start like a synthesis of the information. And that type of workflow, I think, is quite clear once you kind of have a first version of a database.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's something missing or other connections down there that could be there. I guess setting up from those orange sticky notes, figuring out a way to link from there to the rest of the material is also quite key. It's almost like the head kind of thing, like the spine. In my view, Charuta, what do you also? Because you spend quite a lot of time in there as well. So these methodological challenges or opportunities.
Yeah, challenges and opportunities. I think they can go hand in hand. That they could be addressed as such. So I think in addition to that, I don't think what I could club is, as you can see, all these green sticky notes here, which are the paleoecology, but many people said, like, what about the various aspects of the ecosystem restoration or ecosystem conservation, landscape restoration, if you want to call it. I think Peter gave us a very nice tagline, landscape restoration already for Asia. So I just thought I would use it here as well, ecosystem. And then I realized the climatic event, many people talk about the tipping points, which is that next square right there. And then if we want to see the climatic event, and I could have actually stretched this square here to include this one. So if you can see this yellow node, which is basically sitting at the intersection of these. So maybe it's better to have a Venn diagram where it basically says the network of nodes and connection and what happens with if we remove a key component from the system. So that is applicable for the ecology, that is applicable for the climate as well, right? So maybe archaeology not that much as such, but then that is something which is cross-cutting across those two squares. And then here what we have is more like data model comparison, and which goes into the climate methods. So if you want to include them into the methodological, let's say, opportunities in this case, then that can be it. So within methodological challenges, we could have, like data related challenges, then, those associated with uncertainties, mismatches are another thing where temporal and spatial mismatches, which already Colin spoke about. And then innovation associated with that. So can we get some independent chronological markers to detect certain things or what, or we can club things and get some intersecting kind of data sets or results, right? So maybe that this can once again, this is very specific data model comparison. This is very specific and go under methodological challenges as well. Yeah, so this is, yeah, that would be it. The rest of it is self-explanatory on this end anyway, right?
Yeah, and I added that key sites word there because I thought it came out of that sticky note specifically. And then I decided to add it to the bottom left where there's the paucity. So it's the second one. So I added perhaps IDing key sites or these co-located things as a potential avenue. Because that sort of crosses things as well, or helps to build the front end of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I only brought one note which was associated with scale issues from slide 1 here, but then slide 1 does have these at-large issues associated with funding. So that is going to be another square. So all of them are basically about the challenges associated with trust issues or funding issues. So all the social factors, perhaps, right? If we want to club them into one, that is something which we can, add, not to overwhelm this particular slide, but then this is something which we can get on there as well. Right? Yeah. So I think that's it. Other people can pick it up. Regions or other slides.
Thanks, Colin and Chiruta. Yeah, I think this the group of sticky notes related to the funding or the social aspects. I think they're important to bring it up because we were saying that probably some of the questions are still too general and not really applicable or considering the idiosyncrasies of the global south. And I think these 4 orange sticky notes are something that can be really introduced early in the manuscript that be later informing the questions or will allow us to elaborate in much more detail. So slide number 4 is the next one. Paula, you were kind of doing the first effort in trying to group this.
Yeah.
Try to explain how you manage.
Yeah, so I think maybe at the end we can come back to this slide and then we can complement it when we discuss the specific regions. So here, just with the ones that I have here, I made a group for climatic events, but mostly that's the interest that rise in Asia and Africa. And then for America, it's more the human migrations and how the cultures adapt to conquers or the movement of the people from one area to another because of climate or because of cultural things. And that's also together with how they use their land or if they were nomads or these cultural strategies. So it's also a mix on the, I would say it's the perfect example of mixing everything. So how humans react to climate and the cultural stuff, no? The cultural. And then we have the general things about the data, so different resolutions. I don't know who wrote this pink one. I don't know if it's here and then can comment on that. I didn't get it too well. So how this integrate information helps clarify and better understand the current environmental climatic crisis. Yeah, a bigger goal. So yeah, the same, like the combination of everything, right? And for the Australasia, Oceania, then Manuel and Xavi joined, but didn't help me. So we can discuss in their slide.
We did try to help for our defense, but we didn't have much material to work with, and it was really not our our regions of expertise, unfortunately. So I think we just decided to wait for regional experts to come
Yes.
in and bring in their real expertise of what the real questions can be. I mean, beyond all, I'm sure all the classical, data problems, lack thereof, resolution. I think, the Pacific Islands, there's always, or even like going to Australia, like, just documenting like these human arrivals and impact on the environment must be there somewhere, but do we have enough data to no, by going like doing like a synthesis, can we really improve the state of the art? I'm not quite sure. One database that we had in what slide 7 that it was, forgot. Yeah, like the orange one at the bottom left, that the one with the yellow sticky on top of it. Yeah, that's Saul archaeology. They have like this one question I asked because this is a database of ages of what I think is archaeological remains probably at the time of the LGM or LGM-like conditions, because when sea level was much lower. What is it that pSESYNTH bring that is, what is our added value compared to something like that? Because they seem to have like a lot of details in terms of data that they have collected, and they have a lot of expertise. And what is it that we bring? We cannot just be like sucking it in and just say, yeah, I'm just merging databases together. I think there is a question. I mean, it's not specific to this region at all, right? But maybe one role of what we could do would also be to showcase, advertise for all these regional studies, because there are plenty of regional data collections that exist across the global south.
Yeah.
They just don't get any visibility. So maybe instead of us trying to collect everything, maybe being a portal towards all these different data sets might be our niche. At least in the first step, I don't know, but
That's an interesting idea.
I don't know. I mean, when I was seeing that, I was like, because if you scroll one page down or 2 pages down, like the database diagram, they have like so much information in there. No, but back to the paper. Yeah, you know, they've stored everything. Um,
Yeah, exactly. This is
and it's not something that we considered, at least so far. So actually, what we might be doing is just a reduction of what they've done.
no,
Is there,
yeah. Mm.
you know, what does that make sense? No, I don't have the answer, and I don't. But I think it's something that we need to consider as well. That maybe we should rather try to be, yeah, that bridge between all these different individual collections rather than trying to merge them.
It's a cool idea, I think. But like how to do it, right? Like to be the conduit or the pipeline.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like amongst collaborators, like there's shared questions. It's kind of one way to do it, but yeah, I'm not sure. But I think it also kind of touches on like the pages strategy of how to do like north-south. And like I think they've struggled to find a way to also be that conduit.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, so I would agree. I think Manu, this is a really good idea. So then we focus our efforts in not replicating what already exists, but sort of, as you said, creating a sort of segue, some kind of connection. That is one. And then I think, Chavi, I keep thinking about these case studies, and then on the basis of where all these three data sets for all these three themes where they exist, we can come up with this interdisciplinary queries in the form of different case studies. So that can also be a novelty. Maybe having that as a portal, and then that portal sort of slowly developing into sort of case by case basis, where we have data sets from all these three themes. Be it any particular, let's say Poland. Then we do have some monsoon like situation in Asia. I'm talking in specific, or Africa for that matter, or even Central America does a monsoon system. So something like that, and then archaeological evidences which can support that. So then we can come up with this interdisciplinary query-like idea, which we said since the beginning. So
Yeah.
maybe be a portal and then come up with case studies. Then increase those case studies, increase in number, right? Something like that. But we could.
It's something that we kind of mentioned during the meeting that it's not feasible or doable within the pSESYNTH project to build a database in such a level of details as this one. So why not instead try to showcase what is available, so increase the visibility of these regional collections in a simple, I don't know if it's going to be a shiny app that is not really querying the raw data, but what is, showing in a map. So in Australasia region, there are all of these databases that are available with the links, and then making the queries somehow to really select, by themes, what we have in our database plus what is available outside. I mean, that's it. It's more a wish than I don't know, than something that could be done in the short term. But I guess it's more, let's say, realistic to think about something like this than replicating what is already out there. And I think this Sahu example is just one that we also probably will find more as we explore more and more, and we contact more people. I'm pretty sure that plenty of resources that we are not aware of for any reason, because maybe they publish this in certain journals that are very specific to that discipline and are not highly cited. So this type of discipline-based criteria and way of working and thinking that are kind of hidden to the wall. So yeah, I like the idea. actually, a lot. Making a much more a portal or a segue. I don't know how to phrase it, but yeah. Another topic is how we're gonna do it, but or who is gonna do it. That's the main thing. And yeah, basically, yeah, but that's not much to add from the Pacific Island, Australasia, Oceania subregion. Yeah. Yeah, who is next? Who want to pick up next from here? Maybe these already no.
Asia, I think Asia Africa sub-region is Peter. I guess Peter was.
Is Peter here? No.
Yeah, Peter is around. Yeah. Peter is around. Olumide somehow came and went, but Peter is around, right, Peter?
Yes, I'm around.
Yeah.
Maybe I can just give an overview of what we grouped them into. So the first grouping was more like the landscape and conservation issues. So how we can use, for example, this data set to guide conservation within this region. And also, for example, in looking into the human and fire vegetation kind of complexity or interaction. The other grouping was climate variability. We had issues, people raising issues about wanting to know how this data set can be used for looking into kind of, for example, extreme events or monsoonal events within the tropics. The other grouping we wanted probably to see it included was the fact, because now we have the archaeological perspective or point of view, we can be able to kind of have the multidisciplinary kind of interaction between paleoecology and archaeology. And this will help us to have a more in-depth review of the human-environment interaction. So we thought this can be an addition within the group. And then for the data, so this remains the same as I think as we have seen in the other regions. So we have, so the lack of data is pretty a big thing within the African context because there is either too little done in a lot of areas or just a lot concentrated in one single location. For example, the way Rahab was explaining in the morning that we have this, the Rift region where there is a lot of work done both archaeologically and paleoecologically. But then the rest, for example, in the African, in the Kenyan context, there is very little done. And also still in the data management, so I just said data management, there is a call for like new, so there are a lot of areas where they haven't been done or they don't have data. Probably this can be other locations that can be supported to kind of collect new either radiocarbon dates for the materials that has been done, or just new projects within these locations that can improve the availability of data within these regions. And then the final grouping is the funding issue. So how we can create more projects that can attract more funding. So basically, is it possible to kind of develop projects that have a direct relevance to the African issues that are currently going on, that we can use paleoecology or archaeology to kind of benefit from, to resolving some of these issues, either it's management of our parks or reserves and this kind of issues. And then probably tomorrow, as we were discussing, maybe we can come up with this kind of hot topics in quotes that we can be able to kind of put more focus and help us to kind of be able to leverage the materials we have already or the additional materials they want to add within the paleoecology, archaeological realms. Yeah, so I think that's it for.
Good, thanks, Peter.
Wow.
Does anybody else from the Asia group want to complement, Africa, sorry, want to complement on that? Or we can skip or move to the Americas?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk, Carolina, or I can introduce and then
You can, you are free now.
Okay. So I think that we have some similarity with the group that the people have already found in other groups. For example, in this case, we choose to group these transversal problems to the global south because we found several things that were more related with what we discussed yesterday about problem in the for publish the results or difficulty to have access to radiocarbon dating and this kind of thing. So we think that maybe this one can be moved to your group.
Okay, like the cross cutting.
Exactly. Then we find another group that we call culture and environment, and basically talk about colonization or some civilization and how they interact with the environment or the environmental changes. And then we find some questions that were mostly related with restoration purposes. But we found this general question like drivers of diversity. So we decided that maybe could be like a preservation question. We didn't know where to include it. And then we have this question about faunal extinction and defaunation by humans that we understand that is related with faunal extinction also, but no, it's our interpretation. And
yeah, it can be local extinction.
Yeah.
The deformation, yeah.
Deformation.
And you take out some higher predator that is, blocking some sort of seed dispersal, and then everything collapses or changes from vegetation. Yeah.
But we probably. We try to things that are related with fauna are
Great.
And then we found this database analysis related question that I think that we can also join to the general question or the main concern about which kind of data we need to collect or how we should evaluate the data. And also we have several climate questions and one of the extreme event questions. So that is, I don't know, Carlos, if I'm missing something.
No.
Fantastic. Thanks, Karina and Caro. Good job. I think there are still some hot topics that starting popping up. So the challenge now would be to kind of group them based on different criteria such as regions or another lower level classifications. Are we missing any group that did not summarize their job yet? No. Okay. So how do we move from here? I guess it's again, Charutamanu, we should think about some sort of, I don't know, if Google form would work to prioritize, to rank these questions, topics. I don't know. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what we could do is, Chavi, if you remember that we do have a summary document which we put together after Informa, because
Yeah.
those were much larger sessions and whatnot. So if you have them in front of you, we can just easily flash them. So we literally have a pool of certain themes, questions from various sub-regions. So what we could do is we could, take these sticky notes. I basically pasted that, took a snapshot and just pasted them here. But of course, we have much better organization, so we can get rid of this. And then maybe start getting those in the form of, as we said, subsections, right? And try to see how it comes together. Yeah, so you can actually get rid of it. Don't worry about even writing old. Literally, yeah. No, let's not do double work. Yeah, so I think there are this harmonization of records and other things, which part of it was already there. And then yesterday we came up with certain concrete questions, which I added at the end of it. But then now we have better clubbing, better groupings. So why don't we put them together, right? Then create certain kind of skeleton. And another thing which was actually came to us with our association with other different working groups. So there was one working group I'm working with is it's about fires, so fire science across the world or something. So then there they basically send a Google form with priority questions. So they are also on the same stage or trying to create something like that. So pool of question, a question bank, if you want to call it, and then maybe circulate that among the participants. So that way we can have a better reach. Those who couldn't reach us via attending these sessions, they can still be able to contribute, right? So I think two lines of action. One is get all these sticky notes, added them into lines and bullet points and whatever we want to have them to this document or something similar. If this document looks too crude, maybe something similar, maybe in the form of a flow chart or something, and then also a Google form where people can just sort priorities within these questions, right? Or agree to these groupings or suggest us different groupings, right? So that I think asking for disruptive ideas is also very helpful, right? So because we might not have thought certain way, and there might be people who might be able to tell us. So like we could also ask that what could be other ways we can just present this grouping if you have any inputs on that. That can go into the Google form as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right.
It's like a good plan of action.
Good plan of action. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think
the question
wonderful.
Is we have
wonderful job.
If we still have a little bit of energy to start working on that, probably not.
No, I was gonna bring another topic, but as we all know now that if there's not like one leading author on any paper, it never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So I think who wants? I mean, Charuta. I don't want to. I mean, I don't know if that's something that interests you, or because you already you worked a lot as well, and I think it would be good if it was a paper ported by someone from the global south, because we love Chavi, but Chavi is not the most. I mean, we can't keep talking about the global south and not.
That's true. Yeah. We need to acknowledge it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we discussed that already. Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy to, but once again, we already clarified that, and that's why we have that constitution, collaboration and data sharing guideline. And I am glad Jalbrand is here, so we can open up this topic, like once again, pick it up tomorrow morning, right? So we already said that the coordinators are essentially going to get equal contribution anyway, no matter where they are. So I'm happy to, and anyway, I'll happily do it. I did it, and I'll happily do it. But once again, you and of course, Manu and Chavi do as coordinators. Of course, you get equal contribution. We can go alphabetically, from there if we want to, and then Ignacio as well. I don't want to undermine his contribution. in the first
No.
phase of the project. And then, of course, those who have been here in person, those who respond to the questionnaire or Google form we send, those could be the second tier. And that's how we have already defined it. So I think let's not overwhelm us with these details today, but tomorrow morning
No,
that is
but
exactly
my
what.
point was not just
Yeah.
so who gets the reward in a
Uh-huh.
way, because we all agree that everybody who contributes in one way or another gets the reward. With some ordering that is always difficult in those groups, but who is gonna sit behind the computer and type the text? That's very different. Because moving from a bunch of bullet points to an articulated paper, it's a real work. And who has the time and the capacity to do that in a timely manner? It is difficult, right? I mean, I don't know if some of us are just like writing experts, but I know writing a paper takes me ages. Especially since it starts, it's a bit fuzzy in terms of it could go in so many directions. So there are some decisions to be made, and they will be collegial, but we need to have someone that is going to harass, write, and take decisions when there needs to be taken.
Yeah. So I think I'm happy to lead that. That is one thing, right? And of course, I'll fetch your help as needed. I have a capacity, whether I have time, I'll find out. But if we, once again, that is something for us to decide when the first deadline is. So I think let's set a very practical deadline for this. Let's not lose the flow. Let's not lose the mode in which we are, right? So I think sooner if we can plan it better, but still it should be practical, right? Chavi? It's Chavi on.
Yes, I'm muted.
Yeah.
Totally,
So
totally,
then
yeah.
once again, that's the topic of discussion for tomorrow, that how easily. So between today and tomorrow, while you all might be sleeping, I might be already up because sunrise is here. I'm in the east. I'm the easternmost at the moment, if I can. So if I'm up and if I'm able to get some action done on this document, then maybe we will be in a slightly better shape. Who knows, right? So if I can get it done, then we can have a little more practical kind of deadline that, let's say by first quarter of this year, March or April, we can get some very crude kind of draft. Then, we send it to regional representatives and whatnot. So that is one thing. I think most important thing for tomorrow as well is to identify the representation. And I think groupings in the sense like those people who can work together and take it forward on the regional basis, which is extremely important. So deadline, then regional representatives, a group of regional representatives working together as we did today. And then, of course, any data related or publication related decisions we have to make, right?
Yeah. So I mean, just so Colin is next to me with the whiteboard. I'm considering, can you guys see some? No, probably it's
nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Okay. So it's we'll send a photo. It's a kind of a double axis that Colin created.
Yeah.
That can be used kind of to elaborate the paper based on what we have been discussing.
Can we draw on the screen instead?
Yeah, maybe actually.
That's true.
So the y-axis is risk.
Oh, sorry. Get me a white background, please.
White background.
A board mission. I don't know. Take a picture and send it.
Take a picture, yeah. Do take a picture and send it to everybody. Or add to this document or add to the Jamboard. Best thing would be to have it on the Jamboard.
But now that we're kind of, still ideating some ideas, we can start to think about how to move from idea to some action, right? And so the y-axis is the risk level, like being simple, going up in the axis to complex.
Yeah.
And the x-axis is the impact, And is it doable on the left side, or is it doable in the long term only on the right? And we can actually map out some of this stuff, some of these ideas we have. And we can see if they're up in the top right of the graph, then we need 3 years of a huge team to get anything done. So I think it's a nice way to like group think on some of the topics that we've been ideating. And so maybe we'll start to see some stuff,
Yeah.
you know, is a dream away, and some stuff is actually quite close to us. And we could color code it and things like that with the sticky notes.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
So it could be, you could put the sticky notes right on it, or you could have like drawings or like polygons. It depends on each kind of idea that we have.
Yeah.
And I mean, if every single thing maps into the top corner, we're not going to see anything for 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see that.
So,
That's an extreme.
Yeah.
no, thinking between, you know, challenges and opportunities, I was just thinking, oh, Manu is drawing a heart. Okay. So no, between challenges and opportunities, I think, Colin, I think you just gave that manuscript one of its first diagrams, perhaps, that, you know, in terms of communicating, perhaps as the very last section or concluding remarks, whatever it is, to basically say that this is where the challenges belong and this is where opportunities belong, right? So we can explain something like that using this.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Yeah, I think, yeah, that can be one of the diagrams. So see, we are making progress. We are making progress. Yeah, fantastic.
We start to see what's actionable and
Fantastic. Yeah.
groups that can be led.
Definitely.
Others have to take more of a slow burn.
Yeah.
Like populating the database is the entire graph, right? But maybe version 1, it's not so far away actually. So that's one example. And then for like scoping documents or the 50 questions, each part of that plan, we can kind of map it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe everything is right here at the beginning. Maybe,
Well, there will be some.
yeah, there might be some nuggets.
Yeah.
So it's just one idea that it's very similar to like these kind of sticky note approaches. Right?
Yeah.
Group think.
Mm-hmm.
And you can change the axes. That's just the 2 that came to mind. But we could change them.
No, that's great. I mean, it's
really great.
visible when, you know, and
we had to use the paper as well.
Yeah, we have to use the paper. Yeah.
We can sleep on it, or we could try one. Maybe you could, this is the Jamboard, so it's on one. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's a very, you know, simple version of your
way,
right?
Yeah.
It does the job.
Yeah.
Get through it.
Yeah. No. But it did its job. We just saw it in real time. How you have been thinking. Yeah. So should we now then call it a day and then?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think let's call it a day.
Yeah.
Especially, well, for you, Chiruta is a little bit. It's been a
I
day
have to. Yeah, I missed my dinner, so I just go catch up on my dinner. That's okay. That's okay. But I mean, this has been very productive. So I want to say, you know, round of applause for all of us.
Yes, it's been a great day.
Yeah.
Second day.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we start 8 a.m. UTC with the open data practices session coordinated by, we have here Gerben, who will be explaining a little bit in more detail what we have in mind, and specifically what he can contribute with. So yeah, please come, because it's another big topic within pSESYNTH that we care a lot about, the data sharing and collaboration guidelines. So
yes,
yeah. And yeah,
See
that's
you.
it, I guess.
Yeah.
Adios.
Good evening. Good evening and good afternoon, everybody. Bye.
And enjoy
Bye,
the
guys.
night.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.